Yep. It's
Yep.
worth pointing out because there's so much to talk about this week. This is actually the last podcast of the week because I'm going to say this and it's going to sound weird.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, leaving for a small vacation
Hmm.
later today. The reason
Where you
why
going?
say unfortunately is it looks like it's going to be a complete dumpster fire, and by dumpster fire I mean monsoon.
I thought you meant like in-laws or something.
Nope.
Where are you going?
It's a place in Ohio called Hocking Hills. I've driven through this area, but I've never actually like it's a really neat area. Like it's
Okay.
I know people
What's the point of it? Is it
it's a cabin
like
in the woods,
a
well,
lake,
in the
that kind
hills.
of thing? Oh,
Like
yeah.
so if you're looking at Ohio like as your left hand, like the bottom right corner quadrant area, actually it's more than the bottom right. That whole area is like I wouldn't say mountainous, but it's like the beginning of the Appalachian Mountains. So
Yeah, it's yeah.
So it's real pretty over there. There's a lot of there's caves and all sorts of good hiking,
Hmm.
and we like to go hiking. Except that,
I'm sure you're not going to have any kind of a hills have eyes situation going on, so you'll be fine. But you might want to just, I don't know, settle your affairs and whatnot, just in case.
but anyway, it's not gonna matter. Like I think we'll get some hiking in
Hmm.
tomorrow, but then Thursday and Friday look like complete washouts. So it's not far away, and
Hmm.
we'll see.
I see. I see.
But it's a nice cabin in the woods. So like I'm gonna take my book and read and
Hmm.
whatever. But yeah,
Well, that's fun.
it's supposed to be fun. Or as my daughter described it, we could have quality family time at home too, inside.
Wow, she's growing up fast.
It really is. She was looking at the weather and she's like, "It's gonna rain the whole time we're there." She's like, "We could do this at home," and I could just,
Yep. Well, yeah, you could, but I don't
yeah,
know. It's
it's
good to
fine.
get away.
Look, let's put it this way: it has already been paid for, so we are going,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
This is a million years ago. But my wife and I went to Paris. It like one January. It's the darkest time of the year there.
Hmm.
It's gross. It rained every single day. And before the trip, she's like, my wife's looking at the weather and she's like, "What are we going to do if it rains all the time?" And I said, "I guess we're going to be in Paris in the rain." There are worse things.
Hmm. Get your chocolat inside
Yeah,
instead of there.
it'll be nice.
It would be nice. I haven't been to Paris in a long time.
Yeah, same. Speaking of which, it looks like I'm going to Berlin for IFA
Nice.
in very early September.
I was gonna say when is IFA, but early September.
Yeah, something like September 3 to 6, whatever. So this is actually really good timing because my understanding, I don't know this for a fact, but we know that Intel and AMD are coming out with their next
Hmm.
gen PC chipsets, right? And this is when PC makers announce all their stuff for the holiday selling season. So this seems like the logical time for that stuff to launch. So cool.
Yep. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's worth pointing out. They always announce next gen stuff, but like there's actually things that might be of interest this time around.
Yeah. Right. I mean, there are two big kind of industry wide events, obviously CES in January and then IFA now
Hmm.
or September. And yeah, this year is a little more momentous than usual, thanks to the Snapdragon X stuff and Copilot Plus PC and AI and blah blah blah, whatever. So yeah, it should be interesting.
Yeah. The EU continues, I would say, its
Mhm.
wrath. I don't know if you want to call it that, but they said their
Right.
meta, which says pay or consent.
Or pay and consent later.
Yeah, I mean
It's up
that's
to you.
yeah.
I yeah, there's a lot of uh, I don't know, negative knee jerk reaction to the EU stuff, to the DMA maybe or whatever, and it feels like they're kind of just going after U.S. companies, but that's not really fair, right? Like these are the worst companies.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So I mean, this is big tech. I mean, it's not their fault, and it's not completely protectionist unless you believe that I don't know, trying to level the playing field for everybody is protectionist. I guess that technically is protectionist. I don't know, but um, I don't know. I broad strokes, it's a lot like any antitrust. I think it's the right thing. I mean, we could sort of quibble with the details, I suppose. But I've come to this. I don't know if I said this here, but I've come to this notion that the DMA effectively, and what's the other one? The DM. What's the other one called? The one for services, DMC, as in Run DMC, whatever
Mhm.
the other one is a kind of a modern take on antitrust, right? That the EU has a Sherman antitrust like law as well. That's the thing that Microsoft's being um, their complaint about Teams and Office bundling is based on that, not on the DMA. But um, we have these outdated notions of monopoly. We also have incorrect notions of monopoly too. But that you don't have to have 90% market share to be dominant and be
Mhm.
terrible, right? And we see that with Apple and Google, right? Both of them have whatever share wherever they are. Um, you'd have to be, I don't know where your brain would be at to believe that these companies don't need to be reined in, but they absolutely do, right? I mean, so I guess if we just look at old fashioned definitions, I guess, or incorrect definitions, like they don't, it's hard to bring those kind of companies to the table to get them to do the right thing. So the DMA is, I think, addresses that. And there you go. So is Facebook dominant in ways that they can behave such that there is no competition? Yeah. So, I,
Yeah.
I I don't see many people defending Facebook, obviously, or Meta, but you see it with Apple, of course, and with some other companies. So I don't know. It's important that they do this type of thing, I guess. Um, and I don't know. The outcomes are usually correct. They feel correct. Like the Activision Blizzard stuff was a slog, but they got it done, and seems like everyone's okay with it, except for me because I don't have any games on Game Pass. But whatever. I'm sure there's all kinds of reasons for that, but I it's important. Antitrust is important,
And here we
and
are.
Meta,
The one
Meta
thing I think
sucks.
the EU should do is knock on Google's door and make them redeploy Google Analytics 3 and burn GA4 to the ground because Google Analytics, the fourth
I know.
version, is bad. I really don't like it. And there's no going back. It's so much so, in fact, that I've started using a tool by Microsoft, which is actually
Yikes.
free. It's called Clarity.
Yes.
And it's remarkably better, mostly because it just did what Google Analytics 3 did.
Yeah, but now you've raised like some attention to it, so they're going to kill it.
Yeah,
They're going to make it terrible.
if they do,
But
I
yeah,
will pedal a bike up to Redmond, just powered by rage.
yeah. I mean, when these companies don't have any oversight, you get things like, I don't know, turning on folder backup in Windows 11. You know, after you said no 8 times, which by the way also happens on these Windows 11 on ARM Copilot
Mm-hmm.
Plus PCs because of course it does.
Could get Google Reader back.
I love the torch we hold for these things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was the perfect
Windows
app.
Phone, maybe? Anybody?
Just don't touch it. Just let it continue to exist.
Hmm. Interesting. That would be one way to do things.
It would be. Anyways, I don't know. There's nothing else, is there? It's July
No,
2nd.
just yeah, we're just for me it's all Copilot plus PC stuff, which is not so much news anymore, as it is just happening. So I'll be focusing on that obviously. But yeah, not a lot in the way of news for sure.
Well, we'll see you
Usually
Monday.
that's true, right? July?
Unless the
July,
hills are
July.
alive. Wait, that's Sound of Music.